Hello everyone and welcome to a brand new video. Today we have some more new equipment. Brand new sofa has finally arrived. Just took delivery of this a few weeks ago and I needed something nicer to present on, and that old couch I had was so embarrassing, and I'm so glad I finally got rid of that after 10 years. So hopefully this looks nice and makes my videos look a lot better. And so that's that. I was really excited about that. But more importantly, today we're breaking out with the big guns. I have some Automobile Quarterlies here that I've been meaning to share for a little while. Anyone who collects automotive books probably knows all about Automobile Quarterly. It is sort of considered to be a magazine, and it's a hardcover magazine that's been around for a pretty long time. I think since around the early 60s, like maybe 1962, 63, something like that. And they printed it until maybe a few years ago. I have a few copies of these that you can see here. This is a publication that is very much directed towards the mustache-twirling connoisseur. And the subject of a lot of the articles is often more around like the antique cars, like the early 20th century or sometimes even 19th century things. And I've been flipping through here, like there's on this particular issue, and this kind of stuff, these kind of pictures. So, and this is really great stuff, great historical stuff if you're interested in that era of the automobile. I personally have never been real big on the early 20th century quite as much, but there is, and how I know why I have this issue, there is an article in here on my beloved Panhard, which is what that you can probably see. So yeah, this magazine or publication is very much a prized collector's item nowadays. It has, on the back of each one, there will be like an imprinted, on this one it's Mitchell, so apparently the Mitchell car was featured in here, but they'll imprint like the logo of some car company or something else. On that one it's Mitchell. On this blue one it is Franklin. Can you see that? This one here, I think, is possibly the oldest one that I have. It says on the back here that it is volume 6. Can you see that? Volume 6. I'm not sure why I grabbed this. I think I actually found it in a bookstore, maybe in New York City. I don't remember exactly where I was. It could be in New York or it could have been Chicago. But here's just a sampling of... And Automobile Quarterly has some of the best photography in it of just about any of the automotive books that I own. And that's what makes it really special. This one is in superb condition considering how old it is. The only sign of any aging is the spine is a little bit faded from maybe sun hitting it, but that's about it. And otherwise, it's in practically mint condition. I never really care about how much things are worth, but sometimes I mention it on here. I would assume, especially if you shop on eBay, that it'll be like everything else. There will be a big variance. There will be some people who will be glad to get $7.99 for one of these, and then there will be people that will ask $50 or $60, mostly indicating that before they did their listing, they really didn't check and see what they were really going for. Just to them, it's worth $50, and they're not letting it go for any less. And if that's the case, then you're probably going to be keeping it. But these aren't real expensive. They're fairly common. I don't know how common they are in the later issues, but you can probably find almost any issue of this that you want. I'm not sure about the very first one, but I've had these. This is a Locomobile. Yeah, it's like, I think that's an American, one of those, 1920s, 30s American cars. I think that these are fairly common out there, and a lot of people like to collect these. This one here I have two of these, so I don't know which one's which, but one of these was a gift from my family to me back when I was 12, maybe. So I love the cover, how the cover looks on this one. This is volume 12, number 2, and it's a green book. So I was given this as a child, basically. Has always been one of my favorite books ever, mostly because of the photography. So if you can get your hands on one of these, then I recommend it. The one that I wanted to look at today, that I thought I would spend a little more time glancing at, is this one right here, which is volume 30, number 1. And the reason is because this is their 30th anniversary issue. So then that's the first year, so 1962. And so they did this anniversary issue to do like a year in review. So it's sort of a year in review 1962 that they have in this book. And I found it quite interesting. And there's a few mistakes in it actually, but it's a pretty interesting little read. I don't remember when I bought this. I had this for quite a while. But I thought we might take a look at it and see what's what. So without further ado, this is what it looks like inside. Very fancy, kind of. They have their logo here. And here are the people involved, named right there along the side. The contents, which is just cars from around the world. And everything from 62. United States, England, Europe, Japan. And, this kind of thing here. Reflections. On subscription, the year 1962, some neat illustrations right here. Pontiac MG, Alfa Romeo, and Avanti. Already, I'm kind of asking, wasn't the Avanti like a 1963 car? So, I don't know, but United States, all the logos right here. Not sure if the Pentastar was used yet by Chrysler in that year, but Studebaker was still around, and that is AMC's logo, still AM, American Motors. So yeah, here's a selection of what this looks like, and the way they do the typesetting at the start of the paragraphs. The font is the same from 1962 all the way up to current, and very beautiful photography. There are a few things in here that I always love to point out what I consider to be mistakes. In this case, like they say right here about the Studebaker, and I think that is a 62 Studebaker, but it says, despite the success of the Lark, Studebaker ended American car production in 1962. No, I'm kind of surprised, especially in a Connoisseur magazine, that they should know that Studebaker's production, South Bend, didn't close down until December of 1963, a whole year later. But they say 62 there, so I don't know. But 62 Chrysler, that looks very similar to the DeSoto model that I have with those kind of slanted headlights on there. I love this picture because not just the car, but also the background. This is one of the things that Automobile Quarterly does very well. So there's the Avanti. So this is Studebaker and 62 with their Hawk, and the body of this car, even it looks very modern for 1962, but it's actually a 10-year-old body shell on that car. That was Raymond Loewy's design from way back in 1952-53, I think, and they're still going with it because they didn't have any money. But they did create the Avanti, and I think that when they were liquidated, the Avanti production was purchased by somebody and continued in small numbers until like maybe the 90s. Jeep Wagoneer, and that car would be produced through 1991. That's Britain, the United Kingdom in 62. See an Elvis here, and Ford Cortina just being introduced that year. BMC 1100 that I'll surely talk about a lot. Good old Don Stokes. And this is the British scene, so MG and Lotus Elan. And yeah, it's pretty neat stuff in here. From another lovely photograph here, this one featuring a Jag. The Continent, so this is just European cars in general. And I've just recently acquired the sales catalog that has that picture in it, and it's a blue car. Really cool there. So the NSU Prins, an Auto Bianchi that I know very little about, and the Fiat 1300 right here, the Barth sports car, and again, they're getting it wrong. The Hillman Imp, no, that wasn't introduced for another year, and it wasn't a model year thing. It wasn't even started production until May of '63. But they're saying they're really stretching it here and saying things that started in 1962 when actually, no, sir, no, they did not. Here's some more European cars. Another lovely PL17 Panhard, which they're calling the PC17. An Auto Union DKW right here. A name that I can't really pronounce. Vega. Well, this is like a specialist sports car. They have two of them here. Ferrari GTO, one of the most famous cars ever. And here's a really neat and interesting chapter. The Dawn of the Rising Sun. I think they're referring to being the beginning of Japan as an export power. And this happened with Germany as well. The defeated countries after World War II had to get their industry started again. They had so much devastation, it was difficult to sell cars domestically, that once they got production ramped up, they ended up exporting quite a lot. And Germany at one point was exporting more than half of their automobile production. Japan, the number was even higher. I love this picture because this is like a true anime car with an anime girl from 1962 standing in front of it. The emblem on the front is not present anywhere. It's not a Honda, and it's not a Mitsubishi. So I found out that this car is actually it's built by a manufacturer called Aichi, and it's called the Cony, the Aichi Cony coach, possibly like on the license plate, or 360 coach. So this is a K car. This is a very tiny little micro car. It's not really a car that would be exported, but it's a really lovely photograph, so I'm kind of glad that they put that there. And so here's some of the Japanese cars from that era. You have Nissan, which is really still called the Datsun here. These are both called Datsuns still. Toyopet, they're calling Toyota, but I'm pretty sure they were still called Toyopet at this time period. And then here's, of course, the vision of the future, the exporting, putting the cars on ships, because they're already doing a lot of production for export. Another model with the car, this one is the Publica, and I know I've shown this in a video somewhere. The sign's right up here. Toyopet, see how it says that right there? They're still calling Toyota, still calling their cars Toyopet. So there's that, and the Crown, the Nissan Cedric, which is kind of really lovely. And here's the vehicle that a lot of people were driving around. These still are around in Japan, and I see these types of vehicles even in anime and stuff. They're very common for farmers to drive these, usually just short distances from their fields into town with any produce, or just to get supplies or whatever they're doing. These little three-wheelers, and sometimes they're four-wheelers, but there's a lot there that you can see where the engine is. It's like a mid-engine, and it's probably a 360cc engine in there. Really tiny, basically a K truck. And speaking of K cars, you have the first Mazda, the 360, and the Carol is also a K car. That's 360cc. And I love this Nissan Prince. That's a rare picture because I've never seen that photograph anywhere else. And the Prince Gloria. And it's just some lovely styling. Kind of not a good photograph though. But this is a good photograph. I love that. That is like a true anime car right there. It looks like a cartoon. It's the Suzu Light. So before Suzuki called their vehicles Suzuki, they were called Suzu Light, the 360. And it looks really kind of like the early Lloyds. A 360cc engine would be most likely up front. I'm not sure if it's front-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive, and I would almost guess that the body shell would be made of plastic, but I'm not 100% sure. A couple other K cars, the first Mitsubishi, the Minica Mitsubishi, and here's the Cony, another Cony vehicle right here, and then some more early 60s Japanese cars. So yeah, that's what this is. This is sort of racing stuff. Chrysler Turbine Car, again, I thought this was 1963, but the program surely would have been started in 62, so it has that. Here's the turbine engine. I do love that picture. Turbines are scary because they're a jets, but they did try to market a turbine car, and they decided not to put it in production. which would probably have been Lynn Townsend's decision to not go ahead with that. And it probably is good that they didn't. I don't think it would have succeeded. Some concept cars from the US, some really amazing, look at this design going on at the time. Do you even see things like this anymore? And just more great photography. So that's what Automobile Quarterly is all about. But I hope you enjoyed taking a look at that with me, and share, let me know if you've got any of these. If you did enjoy that, go ahead and throw a like on the video and possibly share it with somebody you may know. And you can always subscribe to my channel. I do new videos once a week. Hope to see you again soon. Take care.